Hello, welcome to Longman Bardic Journey. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you are well. If this is your first time here and you're expecting Longman Tarot, Longman Tarot slightly changed for today. This is my second live talking about my Bardic Druid journey. I did the first one back in February, I think it was. And so I thought I'd pop on and just do the second one, talking about things I've been up to on my Bardic studies, things to do with other bits and pieces. Oh, cats are there. Cats have come to join us. That's nice. So welcome along. If you were here thinking it's going to be a tarot, hang around. We're going to still be discussing all sorts of wonderful things. So very much welcome here. Let's see who is here, who's joining us today. It's a lovely sunny day today, so hopefully this is about. Just noticed how dirty the TV screen is. I have actually wiped it, but do apologize for the smears on it there. Hello Sandra, good to see you here. Thank you for being here, my lovely. I hope you are well. Red Wing, hello to you, my lovely. Good to see you as well. Ren is here. Hello Ren, good to see you too. And Deanne is here. Hello to you. I hope everyone is doing really well and having a lovely Friday. Sybil is there. Yeah, Sybil's there. And Basil is lurking somewhere. Basil's just been back to the vets for a checkup and he's doing incredibly well after his illness. So he's put on a lot of weight and we're all very pleased. So it is Flannel Friday. I kind of knew you'd be here, so I thought I'd wear that for you there. I know you love a flannel, and I've kind of got my blue bells and badges on because it's that season, isn't it? So hello Lynn, good to see you here. I hope you are well. It's lovely to see you here. Hi Chris, good to see you too. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Yay Basil, yay, yeah. So Basil, they've just eaten, so I think they've just flopped out in a sunny corner somewhere. So I'm sure they'll turn up at some point. But great to see you here. Anyway, thank you for joining us, and hello if you're watching this on playback at some time. Like I said, this is slightly different Longman Tarot. It's more about Bardic studying today, and the topics we're going to talk about today, I did put in the link below. It's to do with Celidwen. And I'm really pleased Sandra's here because I've already had a long chat with Sandra about Celidwen. We're going to talk about Beltane in a moment, and we're going to talk about the new online OBOD website, I suppose is a good way of calling it. So those are the three things. But please feel free, chat away. And if you want to ask any questions, please, as ever, pop it into chat. I will try and end this like I did last time by doing a poem, because that's what being a bard is all about. So hopefully I won't forget to do that. So welcome everyone. Hello Philippa, it's lovely to see you here. I hope you are doing very well. And again, anyone who is just watching, not chatting, we see 12 people are with us, so you're very welcome here. So let's start off with the first topic, which is Beltane. And I really hope that you had a wonderful Beltane, or as I should say, Beltane, if you celebrated it in the Northern Hemisphere. And of course, if you were doing Lammas in the Southern Hemisphere, I hope you had a wonderful time. Hi, Calla, good to see you here. I hope you're doing well, my dear. Yeah, so Beltane, as you know, I celebrate the Sabbats, the wheel of the year, and I like to use it as a check-in. I like to do a little bit of mental health and kind of setting myself sort of some goals. I think of it a bit like a mini new year where you set yourself a resolution for the next 6 weeks. And I was really geared up for it. I was so geared up for Beltane. If you happen to catch Gerald and me last week, was it last week? Week before, with our long stash readings, I had Beltane Crown. I'd made that. I was really up for it. And then it just didn't quite happen. I got Beltane or Beltane Blues, which was a bit of a shock and a bit of a kind of concern. And I was thinking, why has this happened? So 2 Sundays ago, I should have gone to my Gorset Druid celebration ritual, if you want to call it that, which is down by the Long Man of Wilmington, the chalk figure, where I get my name from. And I've been to every one, and the time came to go, and I was a bit like, do you know what? I'm not going to go today. And the weather was just awful. And I know I often moan, and British people particularly moan about the weather. It's the one thing that keeps us all unified on that one there. But the weather this spring down in the southeast has been atrocious. We've had really cold weather. We've had a lot of grey skies, and we've had inches of rain. And last weekend it was actually, the roads were flooding down here. And so I kind of think that that was partially the reason for it. Spring seemed to have come along, and yet the weather really wasn't playing ball and being spring-like. And I've spoken in the past about my issues with SAD and seasonal depression disorder, or seasonal depression, which I have to say is much better now than it was previously. But I kind of felt that I was slipping back into that rut again, because we just weren't getting the sun. We definitely weren't getting the temperatures, still keeping the heating on indoors. It was just really miserable. And I just felt, for once, I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to be part of all of this there. So I didn't celebrate that way. And then when Beltane came on the 1st of May, of course, it came on a Wednesday when I was at work, and I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I like to celebrate my Sabbats on the day. I mean, solstices, Samhain, and Beltane is one of those. I like to do my 1st of May stuff, and I planned all this, and I was going to get up and do stuff. And then I realized it was on a Wednesday, and it wasn't a bank holiday like it has been in the past. And I was so tired and so fed up, I just thought, no, I'm not getting up for it. So Beltane has been a bit of a damp squib. I haven't done half the things that I wanted to do. I know we can leave the time and do it, the energies, a little bit later, but even so, it's just been, I find it really exhausting and actually very unproductive. So that's my Beltane. So I just wondered how other people were feeling, and whether you've had sort of Beltane burnout or Beltane blues, or whether you've either gone through this before, because it'd be really interesting to know whether people are feeling it because of the weather or what's happening. So please, if you want to share your thoughts, please do. I'm just going to catch up with people. Where did I get to? Carla says, it's freezing and raining, cats and dogs. Who wants to go out and outdoors? So you're absolutely right, Carla. I mean, the thing is, I'm happy to do that, and I have done that at Yule, and I did it at Samhain, and I did it at Imbolc, because that's when it is freezing cold and raining cats and dogs. That's when it's supposed to be, as part of the energy of the season. You're absolutely right. But by the time we get to Beltane, I kind of feel that things should have calmed down, and we should be seeing the hints of summer, or perhaps the hints of spring, I should say. And it wasn't happening for me. So thank you for putting that. Absolutely. And it was a case of that. It's a case of, I'm just, going to just stay under this blanket and read. And I'm like, but I did that all winter. So there we go. Oh, Jackie's here from a scorching hot island. It has been a lovely day today. Having been moaning about the weather here, it has been a fantastic. Of course, what's happened, I've been indoors, so I haven't seen any of it all. But my plan is this weekend to go out and start to celebrate perhaps a bit of Beltane, or what's left of it, regarding energies. Hi, Sarah. Lovely to see you here, my dear. I hope you are well. And Hypnicity is here. Hello. Welcome. Lovely to see so many of you. Thank you for putting lovely comments in there. Yeah, I think Sandra, absolutely right. And the weather is definitely a factor for not feeling it. As a winter time, I can cope with winter. I can cope with dark nights. I can do the candles. I can do the blankets. I can do Christmas. I can do all of that business. But when it gets to May, and that's still happening, it's just not working. And part of it as well, and I was thinking about this today in preparation for our talk tonight. I don't know how you feel about perhaps stuff that you see on social media, bearing in mind I'm part of social media as well. Call it witch talk, whatever you want to do. I feel there's I feel a bit of a pressure that I have to kind of perform now at Beltane, as in I have to do something. It's a little bit like when it's Christmas and the magazines are all filled with how to have a perfect Christmas, and they've all got their big family Christmas tables all set up, and you spend months and months and months planning for the perfect Christmas, only to realize it's the same Christmas as every other year. But just everyone looks a little bit older, and everyone's perhaps a bit more tired and rattier. But it's that whole thing. I think there's a whole idea of, oh, I'm going to be dancing around a maypole on a lovely summer morning. And the reality is, no, I'm going to probably be in bed and thinking about getting up for work on a grey, wet day. I have to work with what reality is compared to what I'm being fed on my algorithms of social media. I think that's also very important. Oh, Sarah says, I feel you on the SAD, Richard. Between that and recent medical stuff, really down lately. I'm so sorry to hear that, my lovely. At least we had the sunshine too. So trying to get upside. Yeah, you have to grab these things when you do, don't you? And even just having the sunshine, just having that and a bit of heat is brilliant. So much so that I actually took the plastic off the windows that we use as secondary double glazing on these windows here, because they're very old and very big. And so over the winter we put that plastic on that you heat up with a hairdryer, and it really works for keeping the room warm and condensation down. And we actually took it off this week as well, so, and actually opened the window for the first time in about 6 months. So it's all those little things that are so important. But I am really sorry to hear that you were a bit down lately, and if there's anything I can do, of course, just drop me a message. Oh, Philippa says, I enjoyed the online ceremony, but oh no, it was cold and wet on the day. Yeah, again, I was going to join the online ceremony, and I just think, again, I've done a lot of that, and I've also spent a lot of time recently on Teams meetings, and I just need to pull those two things apart. So that ceremony for me needs to kind of at this time of year, it needs to be outside. But I totally get that, and I'm so pleased that you enjoyed it. That's fantastic. For me, it wasn't washing it, unfortunately. So it's so yeah. Oh, thank you there. Hello, Plucky. Good to see you here. And hello, anyone else that's watching. And Rita, hello, my lovely. Good to see you here. Welcome, welcome. Ren says, I always feel that if one doesn't do crafts then one is not celebrating. Well, I don't do crafts. Yeah, there's that big pressure, isn't there? I've got quite a few books about celebrating the wheel of the year and the different Sabbats, and all the different correspondences, and every one of them is filled with recipes, rituals, crafts, things to do, involve the family, picnics. You know what I mean? Which is lovely and it's absolutely great. But when that doesn't happen, when I'm not picnicking and I haven't really been crafting, although I have just started to pick that up again this week. Everything has just started working again this week. It just feels like it should have been working, and the cog should have started turning a few more weeks ago than this weekend. But yeah, if I don't do, yes, there's that kind of a little bit of, okay. And in the end, my Beltane celebration was, I lit this candle, which you can't even see. There's a little red candle up here with my Kanunos statue. And that's basically, I did that every night. And that was it, apart from taking the plastic off the windows. So this weekend, tomorrow, I am going to go for a nice long walk. I'm going to be out in the sunshine, be out in the woods. That's my plan. So, yeah, but I'm going to get over the moaning there. I see those magazines and I want to burn a patch cookie. Yeah, it's the same for Christmas. I've got so many recipe books about Christmas things. And I think I probably make about one thing from the whole of the Nigella cookbook. And it never works properly. There's some that they're forcing consume. I take genuine emotion over debt and stress any day. Yeah, there is that kind of. I'm just trying to think how to put this. I love all the TikToks and I get a lot of ideas. I call it all the memes, all this. I get so much from it. Please don't get me wrong. But now there's beginning so much of it to feel that pressure of, you have to be out here doing this, that, and t'other, and bits and pieces there. And it seems to be, it puts again that it's a bit like, remember when lockdown and everyone started was at home making bread and showing pictures of everything they'd created and been baking, and it all got a bit social media competitive. It's got that little bit of consumption in there. It's got that same kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually in preparation for the next Sabbath, Midsummer, is I'm actually going to write down my expectations, what I actually want out of each of the Sabbaths. And I'm going to do something that I think Kelly Bear did a little while ago, is think about, for me personally, rewriting the Wheel of the Year and renaming some of them for something that's a bit more personal. So it might be Beltane is known as Bluebell season, because for me that's when the bluebells come up, and that's something I really like. Or Copper Beech time. I absolutely love the copper beech trees that are outside there, and I keep going out and taking photos and posting them on social media because the colours are just exquisite and make me so happy. So yes, I might think about personalising the Wheel of the Year for what I want out of it. So I go in with my expectations rather than with armfuls of other people's expectations that don't tend to work. So yeah. Fresh air always helps, absolutely. And if one is not inclined, then what, says Ren. Yeah. It's annoying to feel like that even on a day that isn't involving some special event, says Deanne. So I can imagine the frustration you felt on the 1st of May. And it's also, and it's again, you're absolutely right, Deanne. It's all stuff that I put on myself, or we put on ourselves. But also, it's only this forum that I actually, on Wednesday when I was at work, and it was cold and foggy. That was the other thing. It wasn't just great. It was foggy. You couldn't see the edge of the field from where I was working. And to try and explain that to people at work or people around you, that's quite a difficult thing for people to get their head around. So anyway, that's my plan, is to redress it. Philippa says it is all right not to feel okay sometimes. You're absolutely right. And yeah, it's also good to try and not put too much pressure on yourself. Queen Nigella is great though. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just thought that's a way of being kinder to myself and just making it more personal. And I think Candy has talked about this when she talks about spoons of energy. Go in with the expectations of what can I achieve on that day. No, I'm not going to get up at 4:00 in the morning to see the sunrise when I have to be at work in 3 hours later and work a full day. It's not going to happen. So it's the expectations that we put on ourselves. Carla, I did the pandemic bread thing. I haven't made any in a while. I'm basically lazy. I'm sure you're not a lazy lump, but you know what I'm talking about with pandemic. It's like everyone started getting gardening and doing DIY as well. I mean, that's my idea of hell. Absolute idea of hell. Oh, that's cool, says Deanne. I'm really trying to align with March at the new year. You're right, Ren, because actually May seems almost a little bit too late to be celebrating. Not actually, probably not. Imbolc is probably the time, because people go, oh, none of the daffodils out here have been and gone, and the blackthorns all gone. So yeah, it's. I might be very careful about the times that I choose and think about the week, perhaps the week or weeks, or perhaps definitely the days that go around it. So yeah. And Rita says we should not put too much pressure on us, especially if situations can't be changed. Yes. And I think the problem came from last year. I think May Day did fall over the bank holiday, because we have a bank holiday in the UK on the 1st of May, which is Beltane. And this year, because of the calendar, we didn't have it till this Monday just gone. So it was quite late. And it turned out that the weather for this bank holiday in the southeast, rest of the country had fabulous sunshine. We had torrential rain. At one point, I was concerned I was going to have to get a mop out and start mopping bits and pieces there. So, yeah. Beltane to me is about colour coming back. Yes, it's for that green. I love that green of Beltane. I love that green. I can't find it anywhere else. You don't see it any other time of the year. You have about a week or so of that lush green, perfect green, when the leaves aren't damaged at all and everything's just perfect. And then, the sun starts to do its thing and things start to brown and curl up and everything like that. But yeah, absolutely. Sarah says, I like the idea of connecting better with what you want out of the season, and bluebells really are gorgeous. Yes, they are. There we go. Don't think we get them here. Oh, don't you? Oh, bluebells are fabulous. One of my favourite flowers. Yeah, I like taking photos. In fact, I've got hang around, Sarah. I've got a photo of a bluebell in a minute that I took. So there we go. And Sandra says, I agree with that, Philippa. Yeah, that colour's coming back. Yeah. Spoons of energy, isn't that just sugar? I think Mary Callie, yeah, that's right. But yeah, I think, yeah, it was about what you can, the energy that you have when you've actually kind of frazzled and don't have all the energy to devote to what it is, with what you can do. And Candy had some fantastic ideas of just what to do to, I'm not even going to use the word celebrate, to mark that time by doing little things and actually rethinking what you're doing to address that. And it's really interesting. Ren says the Romans used to have March as the new year, actually. Yeah, that's right. And that's why the financial year is April, isn't it? I think still something to do with April being the end of the financial year, or something to do with that one. Interesting too is the idea that no matter one's age or how long one has been doing something, one can start something new. I love that. Absolutely. It is a fresh green, and Sandra is a bluebell lover as well. And Ren says we get gorgeous Virginia bluebells. Oh, I don't know what they look like. Well, I'm assuming they were kind of bluey purple, but although we have lots of white bluebells, I've noticed recently. So I'm assuming they're called bluebells, even if they're white. I don't know where they've come from, but anyway, Candy has fabulous ideas. Plucky said, I planted sweet peas from seed for the first time ever this year, and they're still blooming. Fantastic. Well, that's another thing. I was given some lovely seeds at the Ostara Gorsid meeting. And we all went around and we had seeds and we kind of made promises we're going to take them home and plant them with an intention. And I got some beans came up, and I got very excited that I got some beans came up. So I potted them up, be looking after these 2 beans. I thought, put them outside. And I went to check on them 2 days later. It's been so wet that we have had like a plague of snails, and they have just munched through this poor bean plant. So I got very upset, brought the bean plant back in, put the bean plant on the windowsill, and the bean plant said thank you very much and has now very slowly produced 2 little leaves again. So we're going to look after Mr. Bean Plant. Yeah. So yeah, look after him. Lynn says we had inches of snow here in Colorado at Belton. Did you? Yeah. Oh, wow. It can. Yes, I've known it snow in April occasionally in the UK. Oh, so you watched the Glastonbury and Edinburgh celebrations on video. We are just getting leaves and blossoms in spring. How lovely. Absolutely wonderful. And I have to say, I absolutely applaud the people of Glastonbury. I haven't watched any of the other places that you mentioned, but Glastonbury did a fantastic job of their celebrations and sharing them. So that was really lovely. I have a couple of friends that live in Glastonbury, and she took some wonderful photos of the maypole celebrations and the parade. So if you haven't seen those, do get a chance to it. That just reminds me that another thing that kind of upset me for the whole thing is that because the weather was so cold, pollen season has been really delayed. And so during Beltane, for the first time ever, I was really suffering with hay fever, when normally that was a month early. So all round Beltane this year just wasn't a thing. Ren sighing there, remembering. Anyway, that is my moan about Beltane. So hopefully you can see I've picked myself up. I'm back in a better place, and we're going to move forward on different ways of celebrating the Sabbats. And I'm going to think about this one, and perhaps next time I do my Bardic chat in a few months' time, I can give you some ideas about what's happening there. So my Beltane blues are well and truly over. So now let's get positive. I'm just going to have a swig of tea before I move on. Sarah says, once I get my patio cleaned off, I'll be attempting some plants. Here's hoping green thumbs finally kicking. Wonderful. Absolutely. I wish you all the best with that. And do take some photos. It kind of sucks this year. But, you know, that's the thing about it with Beltane, with the Sabbats. 6 weeks later, there's something else, isn't there? So I want to be prepared for the solstice. Now, the solstice this year is on a Saturday, I think. I've never been to Stonehenge for the summer solstice. Watch this space. Right, where do we get to? Okay, next thing, Obod. So I should point out, as I probably should have done at the beginning of the live today, my Bardic course is through Obod, and I'm absolutely loving it. There are other courses available, I should say that as well, and I'm not going to be talking too much about it because obviously Obod is a subscription to join to do that lesson. So I'm not going to be sharing many resources there, but I am going to speak incredibly highly of Obod's latest development, and that is that they have redesigned the whole of their website, and they have pulled everything together. So if you happen to be a member of Obod or are thinking of becoming a member of Obod, they have developed a fantastic new, I don't know if it's called a portal or an interface or a web page, do excuse me, but there's a new website that they've called the Druid Hearth. And basically it is, if I call it Druid Facebook, I don't think it's doing it justice, because it's not Facebook, but it has all the chat rooms and groups to join like you would on a Facebook page. You've got threads, you've got comments, you've got conversations you can join in. So it follows the same premise, but please don't think that this is by any way Druid Facebook. It's something much better than that. You can share stuff in there, and this came online about a week or so ago. I got the notification for it. It's called the Druid's Hearth. I'm not going to show it to you because obviously I've paid up to it and it's got all my details on it. But if you are interested, if you are a member of Obod, you will automatically log into it with your password. If you are interested, by all means, go and have a gander at it. If you're interested in signing up to any kind of Bardic course, Obod plus all the other ones do offer you a trial space or trial lessons or trial stuff, at least to see what it's like. As I said, I'm a member of Obod. I'm absolutely loving it. And having had the differences and difficulties of Beltane, coming across this new interface is amazing. It's made me so happy, because one of the things I realized I was doing while I was studying to be my Druid Bardic self is I was happy going along on my own pathway, and absolutely everything was all fine and dandy, and I was studying and I was doing my bits and pieces, and I was thinking long and hard, and I'd like to say I was journaling loads, but I don't like journaling, so I didn't do that. And then I realized that actually this isn't just a solo journey. This is something to take with other people, to talk to other people about. And that's the one thing that I had really missed from my studies, is that I hadn't had the ability to join a forum or talk to like-minded people. And it's been an absolute revolution, yeah, in seeing how these changes have happened through this website. So basically there's circles you can join. So you obviously join your grade. So I'm a bard, so there's the bardic grade. And then once you get into it, there's circles, and these circles are appearing all the time. So there's a tarot circle that is wonderful. There's one just for Druidcraft tarot, which is wonderful, and it's conversations, and it's talking about all the different things to do with the Druidcraft. There's other circles. So there's a circle about educators, people who work as teaching and in education, and how they continue with their bardic studies or druid studies, and what it means to them. And this whole portal just opened up to me of all these people who I just have asked so many wonderful questions and put so many lovely comments in. It's been absolutely amazing, and it's also been really nice to reach out and meet some of the people from the channel here who have contacted me through it, and had conversations as well. So if you are a member of OBOD, I'm saying to you, please go on and sign up and check that you can get onto this new Druid's Hearth, because it has really inspired me to carry on my studies when I was feeling a bit sluggish about it, and kind of got a bit stuck. They've also combined everything together from all the other sites. So not only on there is a link to your online. So if you are studying online like I am with lessons, it takes you automatically to your next lesson and the tracking for it. It's got Touchstone, the issues of all the Touchstone magazines there that you can just look at on screen. Really easy to use. It's got all of Dave the Bard's wonderful podcast on there through Spotify, and links to that. And that is something I really love listening to. But because he's done over 200, I'd lost all the links to the early stuff. It's all there now. You've got all the Tea with the Druid chat that Philip Cargon does, links there. Everything is there under this one portal, and it's now so user friendly. It's a joy, and I go on there now perhaps every night just to see what's happening, just to see who's around, having a catch up with people. So yeah, so that is my recommendation. If you are a member of OBOD or interested, please do go and check that one out, because I was super impressed with what they're developing. Oh, how cool to go to Stonehenge. You know what, Sandra? I can hear you saying that. It does sound like I need a road trip to Stonehenge. I've been to Stonehenge many times. I do prefer Avebury, and I went to Avebury in the winter solstice, which was fun and was great. But actually, it's nothing quite like being at Stonehenge for a solstice. And I've never been on some. It's going to be mad. It's going to be mad. It's going to be a lot for people there. Yeah. So a couple of books. So I thought I would share the books that I'm reading at the moment. Just two of them. Now I'm sure I've said this. I went to Glastonbury a few weeks ago, and I picked up some bits and pieces. Now, I'm not going to do a walkthrough of any of the stuff. I've taken some photos, I think, and I've shown a few bits and pieces, but I'm not going to do a massive haul video or anything like that at all. I'm just going to talk about stuff and hold it up as and when I get to it. But one of those is this wonderful book. So if you are interested in Druidry, I would recommend this book. It's Druid Handbook by John Michael Greer. And this I picked up in I can't remember which shop it is. I didn't keep I keep an idea of it. It's brand new. So what used to be the Singing Tree, is that right? I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, it was full price. It was about £15, but it has got everything in here. And I really like this book because it has got pretty much everything you would need to know in one book. I would say it's a really good handbook. It's got exercises. It's got bits all about the Sabbats. It's got all the ideas and history of Druidism. It's got initiation and tradition. It's got other books to read and bibliographies. It's got the Owen there, really nicely laid out, and it's got that wonderful soft, slightly plasticky, slightly rubbery cover that we all loved, isn't it? Because we're all tactile people here. So I really do recommend, if you are interested in Druidry, to pick up this book. It's a very good read. I have started to read it. However, I am also going through an awful lot of other books. I'm reading The Crooked Path by Kaelan, which I'm still going through, and I'm going to have to go back and read it again. I've done a lot of non-fiction reading, and so what I decided to do was, it's time I continued doing some reading, but something that I wanted to really read for a long time. And so I am reading Stephen Lawhead Merlin. Now, Stephen Lawhead, I don't even know if he must still be around, I think, but I think he's quite old, because these books, I had these books when I was in my 20s, because I read the first one when I was about 22, I think. And it's part of called the Pendragon Cycle. Originally, there were 3. Taliesin is the first book. Merlin is the second book, so it's the second part of it. And the third one is Arthur. And so they were written in that order. They do stand as standalone books as well. But I read Taliesin again last year, and I thought I must read the others. And I hadn't got a copy of Merlin. I got the second hand off eBay because it's out of print now, but there are loads of copies available. So if you're interested, you can get it. A fabulous book. I'm not a great reader of that kind of genre. I've started to read Game of Thrones and gave up pretty quickly. I'm not a great fantasy reader. However, this is really beautifully written. I do recommend it. It's, without going into too much of it, obviously this is the story of Merlin growing up. If you love Glastonbury, there's reference to Glastonbury and the island of Avalon all the way through it. And then the next one is obviously going to be Arthur. They are fairly thick books, but very small chapters and sort of part chapters, and so you can pick it up and put it down. Yeah, so he originally wrote 3 books in the cycle. Since then, there were another 2 added to it, which is Pendragon and Grail. So there's now 5 in the series. I'd be really interested to know if anyone else has read them, because they are very readable, very easy to read. And for me, who has trouble reading lots, especially in the evenings when I'm tired, perfect. And not too many kind of names to trip over and have to work out. You know what I mean? That thing that holds me back on a lot of fantasy kind of writing is that the names and the way things are pronounced, you're like, oh my God, I don't even know how to begin to pronounce that. Recommend it. 73 years old and lives in Nebraska. I'm so pleased to hear that he's still going. Stephen Lawhead, you are a star, and you really quite shaped my 20s, I have to say, with some of the books that you wrote, particularly the Taliesin book. Absolutely loved it. The Hollow Hills, thank you. That's the one. It used to be the Speaking Tree, yes. I can never remember. I'm bad enough with shop names, particularly when they go and change them. Oh, Rented. I've read those. What do you think, Ren? Which one's your favourite? Like I said, I've only just started the Merlin book, but Taliesin I absolutely loved. So fantastic. Oh, and you've been thinking about those books recently. There you go. Perhaps it's a sign to get them out again on yeah. And yeah, that's my favourite. The Merlin book is that one. Thank you for putting that in. Oh, I'd love to, I'd like to have a book group with one day with people. It'd be amazing to to do something like that, wouldn't it? Just have a bit of a book, dissect a book, or perhaps not dissect is the wrong word, but just would have a bit of conversation about it. I realise that I'm quite dark in the thing, but that's probably not a bad thing today. So there we are. Oh, Taliesin's your favourite, absolutely. And what is really cool about this series of books is we all know, well, most of us probably know the origins of Taliesin and the Cerridwen story, but what they don't tend to elaborate on is how he goes from being found to becoming the greatest bard in Britain. And the book does a fantastic job of explaining, who his father was, who his mother, who Merlin's mother and father, and Christianity, and it's set against the Roman times as well. It's fantastic. It's a really, really, really fantastic series. So that's my recommendation. That's my 2-book recommendation there. I also have a telephone. Hang on a moment. When did I become Victorian? I have a phone app that I want to just talk about as well while we're at it. Oh, Sandra, I think you would really love them. I really do. And as I said, they are just quite an easy read. So you can read them in the evenings. You don't have to feel like you have to plow through a lot, even though they're a massive book. I've discovered an app called, surprise, surprise, Merlin, but it's actually got nothing to do with our magician and our sorcerer. Merlin is a bird voice recognizing app. So basically, if you're out walking and you hear this bird twittering away or singing, and you're not quite sure whether it's a blackbird, a thrush, a robin, or what, you can get this app to play, and it listens in on the birds that are around you, and it identifies them. But not only identifies them, it can identify several at a go. Plus, when the birds are all singing at different times, it will tell you which one's singing. So it was fascinating. I went for a lovely walk, and then I reckoned, oh, it's a wren that's been making that noise. Not you, wren. And it's a blackbird, and it was just absolutely fascinating knowing what birds are around me. And this app is amazing. It literally just needs a few seconds of bird song before it identifies it, and then you can go in and sort of find out a little bit more about it. And I haven't done quite all the links yet. I was just absolutely taken with this. So if you're really into bird ornithology, or just want to know, what is that noisy bird outside your window first thing in the morning, I recommend the app called Merlin. It's free. You don't have to sign up to anything, which is great. You do have to download something depending on which part of the world you're living in. And I think Europe is split up into 2 or 3 parts. And I seem to remember, because I didn't download it, it's got North America in there, but you might want to check that one out before you download it. But that's my recommendation. Yeah. It is really lovely, and it records it as well in a really odd way. So you can see it is a bit like the seismic charts when a earthquake. It does that, so you can see the noise the bird's making, and then the higher pitches of the other ones around you. And it will track them. And so I think it was a woodland pigeon or something very unexciting that I had the other day. And when it starts to make a noise and it hears the pigeon or whatever bird it is again, it will turn yellow, so it's that one that you're listening to, and it's pretty instant as well. So it's not like you've got to wait 5 seconds and the bird's flown off. It can really track them, and it can tell you which one is singing right now. Really recommend it. Philip says, I'll look out for that. Sounds like a great read. Fantastic. And let me know. Right, I'm going to have a quick swig of tea. How are we all doing? Thank you for those people who are still here. 45 minutes. Wow, I was only going to be on for 10 minutes. Right. Okay, so the last bit is Cerridwen. And like I said, I'm really pleased Sandra is here, because Cerridwen, as most of you probably know, is a Welsh goddess. And it is the story of Cerridwen and birthing of Taliesin, who we talked about earlier, that obviously is a huge fundamental part of Bardic tradition and storytelling and legend. And it was when I started this course, I'd never heard of Cerridwen, really. I didn't really know anything about her at all. And while I was studying the course and learning a little bit about the legends, I got absolutely hooked, fascinated. I would be looking at all the YouTube clips and videos about Cerridwen. I would start thinking about the legend. I'd think about ways that the story happened, retelling of it. And I talked to Sandra about it, going, this is a little bit more than just interest. Is it something that Cerridwen is channeling? Is it passing on? And so I've done an awful lot of thinking, writing, looking at, composing, I suppose is probably the wrong term, but trying to work a bit more with the energies of the goddess Cerridwen. And it's been a real eye-opener, because I didn't think anything like this would ever kind of affect me. I thought it was always going to be, if anything came along, it was going to be Canunos, but it seems it's going to be Cerridwen. So I'm going to show you a few little Cerridwen keepsakes. Let's go with some pictures. So when I was in Glastonbury, I had a bit of a search around for some Cerridwen artwork, which I'm going to say can be quite varied. Okay, so we have this, which is Hannah Willow's beautiful illustration of Cerridwen, and as you can see, you've got all the different animals. I'm not going to go into the story of Cerridwen, but basically she transforms and chases somebody in the form of different animals, and you can see that that is what is coming through from her cauldron, and it's from her cauldron that the Arwen, the Druid Arwen, the inspiration comes from. So that was one picture, and I was very pleased to pick that up there. And then when I was in Glastonbury at the same time, I picked up a second version, because Cerridwen, as I said, comes in many, many guises. And I've lost the actual name of the artist, but she is very, very famous. It's also on glossy paper, so do excuse the bad picture there. But you can see this is much more tribal. This is much more aggressive than perhaps the Hannah Willow, a bit more calmer. This one has a lot of hectic energy. Sandra's going to tell me who the artist is. She will remember. I know that. But yeah, so I managed to be lucky enough to get these two prints, which I'm going to frame and put them up. When I've got space, once the Beltane stuff comes down, they will be going up. So that's the plan. I have also been purchasing some little representations. So this was on my first trip to Eltham, Wicker Moon in Eltham, and this gorgeous, which is very much like Wyn Abbott, but it's not Wyn Abbott. This gorgeous representation of, it's Danu, but we had conversation in the shop, and we think that it can also be Cerridwen. So I like the fact that she doesn't have a face, and that she's just, and she's super glossy, and she's got a really nice cowl hood robe there. Just catching up with people. That's fascinating. Yeah, we did have a good talk about her. Absolutely there. Yeah, Love the snow. Love the snow. Oh, are you talking about this one here or this one here? I'm not quite sure. The snow on there, it's more like, it looks like snow, but yeah, it's rising up. It's little stars, little like little snowflakes there. I think that's what we're talking about there. Oh, Marita, hello there. Pardon my tardiness. Oh, pleased to see you here. I hope you're doing well, my dear. I think it is Naomi Cornock. Thank you, Red Wing. That does ring a bell. In Glastonbury, once in a blue moon, a couple of times a year actually, they have a witches' market in the town hall, and I just happened to be there the weekend, Saturday that it was on. So they had lots of stalls, and I think, I think Naomi was there. Yeah, it is. Thank you, Sandra. Yes, it is. She was there with all her wonderful prints. And this is the second time I've come across this print. I went to a witches market 2 years ago, just outside London, and it was there. And I looked at it, and at the time I thought, I'm not sure. I like the images, but I wasn't sure. But this time, definitely got a calling to that one. This one's very ancestry, very primordial, whereas this one is calmer, perhaps more motherly, I would say. Perhaps you might disagree with me on that one there. Somewhat kinder. All still very all-knowing. Bearing in mind what happens later in the story, Cedridwen, has many sides, let's just put it that way. So yeah, so if you are interested, do have a little look at Cedridwen's story. And I don't have it here because she is too big to carry. Plus, she is also very securely blue tacked to a surface so she doesn't fall over. When Sandra and I went to the shop again in Elton Wicker Moon, I did purchase a rather larger representation of Cedridwen, which is beautiful, and I will put a picture up on Facebook, the Facebook page, so you can see what she looks like there. You've got Naomi's Oracle deck. I did look through that actually at the stand, and I think this is one of the images from it. I think she uses a lot of her artwork in the images. If I hadn't spent a fortune in the witches market, I was tempted to buy it, so I might have to get that at another point. But yeah, you got the deck too. It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, you're right, Philippa. Definitely kinder. Yeah. So Cedridwen has been, as a goddess of inspiration, has been an absolute inspiration to me in the last few months, and has been a drive, a focus, which has been really exciting to experience and work with. And part of that is, of course, writing poetry, which is one of the things I like to do as part of the Bardic part there. Hi, Ange. It's good to see you. I was just talking about the Druid Hearth site where we had our catch up or meet up the other night. So just singing the praises of the Druid Hearth OBOD page there. Does Nancy? I didn't know that. I will have to, next time I see Nancy, I'll have to ask her a little bit. But yes, there's definitely something there that's a calling, I think. Deanne says, I just set up a form letter to the wrong company listening to you instead of properly working. Oh, I'm sorry if your work lurking isn't going particularly. Deanne, just make sure you don't send the wrong letters to the wrong people. That's just a recipe for disaster. Thank you. Focus now, Deanne. Come on, focus. So that is basically where I've got to. It's been it's been since February quite a slow getting back into it, getting back into my studies. And then recently, because like I said, of the Druid Hearth website, because of meeting people in Glastonbury, talking to Sandra, doing lots of other exercises, reading more books, looking up more stuff about Cedridwen, the inspiration to get back on this course and to get back up with the training of it has been really, really strong, and particularly in the last week. And I'm looking forward to now carrying that energy with me through the summer, and also to start doing a bit more creating. I've got my wood burner out, so I've been wood burning up some of the wooden wands that I've been making. So I want to start finishing some things before moving on to the next one. Nothing was sent, so no worry. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. We don't know. That's the basis of a film farce, isn't it? Somebody sending the wrong letter in the wrong envelope. Oh, and as I say, watch back later. It's lovely to see you here. So that is all I'm really going to talk about. As I say, I just wanted to pop on just to catch up with people and say that's where we got to. And I'd just like to know your experiences of Beltane, or whether you work perhaps with someone like Caedwen, or had any experience like that at all. Yeah, the wood burn. Well, because I don't have a garden or a workshop or a shed, I've got a brand new kitchen. It's the only place I can really do wood burning carefully, very carefully. And of course, that means it have to have all the windows open and really good ventilation, because it smells horrible. So I haven't done any of it during the winter, because having the windows open makes it cold, and we've got the heating on. So it's a kind of thing that gets put on hold during the winter months, but it's something to do in the summer. And I've also got my new stock of wood to start working with, and I've also got my eye on a kind of mini what's it called, not Dremel kind of thing. So perhaps do a little bit more rather than just smoothing and sanding, to actually do a little bit more carving. But that will be hopefully a birthday gift to myself at some point. So absolutely don't want to burn the new kitchen worktops. That would be ridiculous. Oh, Sarah, have a great ritual Beltane. It was after that things went downhill, but working my way back. Had a great ritual. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I didn't know you did wood burning. I've only got about 3 or 4 tips to this wood burner, and I have to say, my handshake, I find the pen that I'm using really uncomfortable. It's a miracle that anything gets burnt apart from my hand, to be brutally honest. But it's fun to do, and I've decided this year as well, I'm also going to start painting some of the bits of the wood as well, so to go with some of the colours. So I've got a lovely holly wand that I've spent ages getting clean. So I did a bit of burning on that one, and now I'm going to sort of start colouring it up in some sort of green, holly green, and red in there. So I want to have a bit of that in there as well. Plus, put some accoutrements and bits and pieces on there. Yeah. So it's coming up to the hour. I thought what I would do is share a poem with you. And this is a poem. As you know, I'm also an ambassador for the Glastonbury Unity Candle. I've mentioned that many times before. And one of the things I do is host the Silent Minute at 9 o'clock UK time, usually on a Monday. And I know a lot of people in the chat here join me on that time, and it is so lovely to see you here as well. And I've kind of got into poem writing. Writing poems is probably a better way. Yeah. During the Silent Minute, because it's that little 10 minutes, that forum to just talk to people, find out how people are, set an intention, send people wellness, but also normally it has a little thing. And I like to have a different theme every Monday and try and write a poem around something that comes to me either that weekend or perhaps on that Monday. And I did that a couple of weeks ago, and I thought I would share the poem with you that I wrote. It's quite long, and halfway through I would normally stop and light the Glastonbury Unity Candle, which I don't have at the moment, so we're not going to do that. And there's a silence for 1 minute in there whilst people focus on peace and unity and their wellness. But I thought I'd read that poem out again because I was quite proud of it. So I'll come back to people in a moment. What I'm going to do, because I hate watching myself read a poem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a photo that I took a couple of weeks ago as we're talking about bluebells, and I'm going to read the poem over that, and then we'll come back in a second. So if you want to go make a cup of tea, do, or you can sit and listen to a poem if you want to. So here we go. In the heart of the bustling day, a pause, a stolen beat, the world's loud symphony takes a silent retreat. Amidst the hurried steps and the city's constant hum, a quiet corner beckons, a refuge to become. A park bench beneath a tree, with leaves that softly sigh, a sunbeam paints the pavement, where worries melt and lie. A breath escapes the lungs, attention gently fades, replaced by gentle stillness beneath the cooling shades. The distant sounds diminish to whispers on the breeze. A bird's sweet song replaces the city's harsh decrees. In this stolen moment, the mind begins to mend. Thoughts gather like soft clouds with a gentle calming trend. The weight of daily burdens a moment's leave they take, and worries lose their power for serenity's sake. This haven found in silence, a treasure to behold, a tiny seed of peace in a story yet untold. Refreshed and with renewed strength, the world calls once again, but the echo of this quietude a solace will remain. A reminder that within the storm a calmness can reside, a hidden well of stillness where peace can be your guide. In the heart of the bustling day, a pause, a silent breath, a sliver of a silence amidst the hurried step. The world keeps its rhythm, a drumbeat loud and strong, but I find a refuge where worries don't belong. Beneath a sheltering oak, with leaves that whisper low, sunlight dappled patterns where the wind-blown branches go. A robin's song, a melody so pure and so bright, a symphony of nature, a gentle calming light. The weight of deadlines fades, the worries lose their hold, as stillness settles softly, a story yet untold. Just breathing in the moment, the present clear and true, a mindful meditation, a moment just for you. The clock may keep its ticking, the city's hums won't cease, but in this stolen quiet, my troubled thoughts find peace. Renewed and centered, I'll face the day once more with a heart a little lighter than the one I had before. There we go. Put that back up. Thank you for allowing me to share that with you. Right, let's just catch up with where people are, then we call it a day. So let's have a little look. Ange says, sadly, Beltane passed me this year. I am feeling very sluggish lately. Do watch this back, because that's exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of this, Ange. So, yeah. But we came up with some ideas that might help us to move forward on that one. And Calla says, does anyone else feel as though all the eclipse energy is lingering on? Yes. And several people I've spoken to as well also feel that everything's just slightly out of kilter and everything's just not quite working the way it should. Maruta's got a pair of heat-resistant gloves that might be helpful. Yeah. Oh, thank you, people. Anne says, I wish I could write poetry on this. It's so good. Oh, thank you, really. I just like to use this space because that's what doing Bardic studies partially about, isn't it? I'm not a fantastic storyteller, but one of the things I do like is writing poetry. So I like to indulge myself by having this space, and I appreciate you people for allowing me to do that too. So thank you. Oh, you are a poet, and I'm sure you are. Oh, thank you, people. That's really kind. I'll just do it. I don't do it for the praise, but it's really lovely to have people's comments. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Philip. Oh, bless you. The bard is within. Well, I've only actually got 28% of the course done so far, so yeah, it's going to be a little while longer yet before I can claim myself a bard, but we're getting somewhere, I would hope. Very lovely to spend time with you. Thank you for all your wonderful comments. That's really sweet and kind of you. I do appreciate you being here and allowing me just to talk tonight, because obviously it's different to what we normally do. You see a side of me that's perhaps a little bit different to the usual Longman Tarot. I'm hoping to get some guests on to do some spots here and talk about bits and pieces. So if any of you would like to come on and talk about, something Druidry or nature or eco, whatever it is that you think would be in here, please, let me know. It'd be lovely to share this space with people. So yeah, I'm going to wish you the rest of a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. I've got a really busy weekend planned. There's 2 important dates that's happening this weekend. One is the Eurovision Song Contest. So if you know anything about the Eurovision Song Contest or watched me before, you know that Eurovision is a big thing, particularly for my husband Peter. So we're having some friends around tomorrow night to watch the final. So that's that. And also, yours truly turns 53 on Sunday. So I will be celebrating a bit more with a family party and going out for some meal and opening some cards and presents. So thank you to everybody for your lovely well wishes. That's really kind of you as well. And I would Eurovision rules. I love it. I'd be totally down for that. So, Sarah, that would be amazing. If you would like to come on, that would be, let me know if you fancy it. Drop me a line, give me some dates and times. I'm sure we could do that if you fancy doing it. We can talk about anything. Oh, thank you. That's a merciless plug. That's my birthday. So now you need to say happy birthday to me. No, of course you don't. Of course you don't. It's lovely spending the time with you here. Thank you for all your wonderful well wishes. You're very sweet, and I wish you a wonderful rest of the weekend. So take care, and I don't know what I've got planned for next Friday. We'll be doing something with tarot or oracle, I would suspect. So keep tuned for that one, won't you? Okay, take care and have a great weekend. Bye.